Hello, I just want to let you know I'm Frankie Henderson, and I'm going to share a brief bit of my life or whatever. You see, I just want to give God praise for the changes that He's made. When I was young, I was kind of raised in church. My grandparents were a part of my life, and they took me to church, and I was fed, and my grandparents were there for me, and they helped me. My dad was in my life, my mom was in my life. But then, come 8 years old, a change happened. My mom and dad got divorced, and it kind of, at that age, you don't really know what caused it, but it kind of tore me up a little bit inside. It kind of changed some things, the way I looked at things, and that kind of affected me. And then my cousin that I had, he was a mentor in my life. He came in and stepped in and kind of was taking me to his church, and I went to a church camp for a couple years there, and I felt God moving in my life, and I felt God in a new light. I felt like He was drawing me closer to Him, and I think I was saved, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't positive of it or whatever. And my life evolved from there and kind of just went in a spiral downhill a few years after that. And I wasn't doing what the Lord had for me to do. And I began to dabble in things I shouldn't have dabbled in. I began to get into alcohol and to drugs, and my life was just falling apart. And this was through high school, and then I went off to college, and it was a kind of a wreck, I guess you would say. And finally, it all come to a crashing end or whatever. I was in college, and my grades wasn't good enough, and I was thrown out. I was out. And then it came the thing where I didn't have anything that I was used to anymore. Everything had changed, and I still had the love of my family around me, and I still had support, but I felt like I was all alone. I felt like I was battling things that I couldn't take care of on my own, and so I had to get some help, and I went and sought help. And the people that I went to, they were very, very genuine with me and told me, kind of led me along the path of what I needed to do. Well, shortly after that, I moved back here to Hopkinsville, and I was out and about, you know, and trying to stay away from the things that I used to do, and trying to stay away from some of the people I maybe ran with and whatever, because I was trying to stay away from the temptations that I had fought before. And I began to hang out with new people, and I met this girl, and she was very, very nice and polite and just had a lot of good characteristics about her. And so we became friends and just kind of hung out for a while, and just was friends. And one thing led to another, and after a while we became closer and closer friends, and eventually we began to start dating. And you know, I hadn't felt God in my life in a long, long time. And my grandmother was all about speaking Christ into my life. And me and this girl moved in together, and that led us into a downhill spiral again. I was doing things that just didn't line up with what Christ had. But you see, she had a mother that was God's love to me, that showed me God's love and was able to help me focus in on what God had for me. And eventually, my girlfriend stayed around, and it took 7, almost 8 long years before I finally proposed. And when I proposed, we planned out our wedding, and we did it the way we thought it should be done. Well, in that time, my mother-in-law had hepatitis C, and it began to take a toll on her life. The spiral began to happen, and she began to have to be in the doctor, and just a lot of things going on. And it put stress on my girlfriend, and it just put stress on us all together. And well, anyway, 2005 we eventually got married, and we you know, took a video, or not a video, or it was a video, yes, and we also held our phones during the ceremony because my wife was in the hospital in very bad condition. Not life-threatening at the time, but very bad condition. And so she wasn't able to be there, and it was that was a little bit rough on us. So after the wedding was over that day, we went to the hospital, the complete wedding party, and we was able to show the video and share the video with her, and the whole wedding party was there. And she just loved us and hugged us and just was speaking into our lives what Christ had done for her. If you knew my mother-in-law, you knew it didn't matter if she didn't have anything left, she would have gave the shirt off her back to help someone. And whether she knows it or not, that's what she did. She helped me through situations. She showed God's love to me when I needed it most. We went on our honeymoon, and when we came back on a Sunday afternoon. We'd been gone for 9, 10 days, whatever it was, and we came back in, and that Sunday she was feeling pretty rough, but she was still kind of knew what was going on. And my wife went over to spend some time with her, and I decided to stay home and rest and get things ready for the new week because we just started a new life together and had a lot of things we had to get in order to get back to work. Well, we went to work on that Monday, and my wife left work early that day because she'd got the call, and that afternoon she called me. Told me that I needed to get to the hospital immediately. Things had taken a turn for the worse. And that night, my mother-in-law passed away 11 days after we were married. I questioned God because she was feeding into my life, why she had to be taken so quickly. But God was just showing me that what she had done, she had already planted that seed, and He was doing the work from that point on. A short time after that, me and my wife started searching for churches because we knew that's what God had for us. I was tired of living the way I used to live. I was tired of the things that I used to do, how I was just letting sin and temptations consume me. And we was looking around for a church, and we had finally found a church home, and God was putting people in our lives that were there for us, and it was helping us get on the right path and helping us seek Him and getting in His Word and reading and studying, and things were changing and things were looking better, even though we was dealing with a circumstance that we didn't quite understand. And why was we having to go through this at this moment? God was drawing us. He was wooing us. Well, March 12th, 2006, if I wasn't saved as a child, now I can tell you for sure, I know that God came into my life and He changed things. He began to line them up the way He wanted them, not the way that I wanted them. I'd always been a self-seeking person. I'd always made it about me instead of about others. I would use you and abuse you just to get to the point that I wanted to be. I wasn't worried about what I did to you. I was a self-centered individual and very egotistical. But God, He changed that. He took that away. Almost immediately, He began to change things. I used to be a cusser, and that was gone instantly. The cussing was gone. I didn't ask. I didn't pray. He just took that away. And then He began to work, and me and Frances felt that we were led to, it was time for us to start moving and have kids because we was dealing with her mother passing, and God was leading us in that direction. We kind of had felt guilt because we hadn't had kids and got married sooner, because that's what my mother-in-law, she loved kids, she loved grandkids, she loved people, as I said. Well, we had our oldest daughter, Macy, and she was born and everything was going good, and about a year into it, she had this struggle, a battle where she was very, very sick, and they didn't think she would make it. And here we was questioning God. Well, not really questioning Him, wondering what was going on. But you see, the people that we had met, those people that He had put around us in the past year and a half, 2 years, they were there for us and they built us up. And in that moment, I grew the most in my life and my faith, because I realized that I had to fully trust God to make it through this situation, because then it was about Him and not about me anymore. And you see, my daughter struggled for 4 years with this, being in and out of the hospital, operation after operation. We wasn't sure if we wanted any more kids because of the things that we were facing. But God was continuing to work miracles all around us. He was continuing to show us that He had our back now, that He was lifting us up. He was carrying us. It was in His strength and not in ours anymore. And man, I serve an awesome God today. You see, 4.5 years after that, we decided that we would have another kid. And we had our second one, Kinley, and what a spitfire she is. She's just full of energy, and she's just so much like me as a kid. And now we see that we have the 2 kids, and they're so different, but yet both of them kids have drawn us closer and closer to Christ. And you see, I know now that I have my own kids, what God sees, how He loves us unconditionally, no matter what we do, no matter where we've been or what we've done. When we don't want to forgive ourselves, if we go to Him and ask and accept Him into our lives and ask for that forgiveness, He comes in and He forgives us. I struggled with that unforgiveness in my own life after I accepted Christ, but I realized that He had forgiven me, and the people around me helped me realize that He had forgiven me. Why was I holding myself guilty for something that He had set me free on that cross and gave me victory in my life? He gave me victory so that I can share what I'm sharing right now. God changed me from the self-centered person I am now to the God, or from the self-centered person I was then to the God-centered person I am now. There was times in my life when I didn't think God would use me, but in my church, He's used me to be the youth leader for a while, and then step up and actually be able to be in the ministry and be a youth pastor. And I just give God praise, honor, and glory for the changes that He's made in me and for the opportunities He's given me to serve Him. And I hope this video helps you to see, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you struggle with, God, if you accept Him and allow Him to work in your life, can be there for you. And I just want to say thank you, Jesus, for loving me, being there for me, and giving me the opportunity to love and serve you.